We're going to head back out to the East Coast in a quote-unquote ACC matchup. What a weird matchup this is for the ACC, obviously with Cal being the newcomer in the ACC, where the Cal Golden Bears hit the road to take on the number 22 Pitt Panthers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at a Kreischer Stadium. I believe I pronounced that right. 3:30 kickoff on ESPN, and Pitt currently favored by 3 in this one. Brad, this is an interesting matchup, like I said. East Coast versus West Coast, however you want to put it, but nonetheless, they're both in the ACC. Cal has showed snippets of greatness, in my opinion. I wouldn't say greatness, but they've shown that they can play ball and they can play with the best of the best. They obviously give up a devastating lead to Miami this past week. Now they got to travel all the way across the country to Pittsburgh to play the Pitt Panthers, who are rolling underneath the covers, so to speak. They're 5-0. Brad, I'll turn it over to you. Thoughts on this game and who comes out on top in this ACC matchup?
Yeah, Nate, absolutely. Thank you. First of all, I hope all of the Cal fans, if you have traveled, I hope that you signed up for, travel credit card, because man, those Sky Miles points are kicking in right now. I mean, you're talking about trips to Auburn, trips to Tallahassee, Florida, and now trips to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Man, I hope y'all get some travel points. If you want to share some, I'm open for them. But yeah, Nate, starting off with Cal, a tough loss against Florida State a couple weeks ago, and then I was really, really impressed. I watched the whole game last week against Miami. College game day was there. It was actually a really, really good atmosphere. I was impressed with Cal. They went toe-to-toe, and Nate, I'll be honest, man, thanks to some questionable calls, Miami kind of escaped that game to an extent, I would say. Of course, Cal is led by Fernando Mendoza. He's a very, very good quarterback. Jaden Ott it seems like he's finally healthy. They're figuring things out. I like what Cal is doing. I do think, Nate, I'll be honest, I know we don't talk about this a whole lot. It's not really said, but look, all these schools, from California having to travel to the East Coast and vice versa, and same thing for those schools in the West traveling the Big Ten. Man, it does take a toll. You may not think it, but it does. I mean, when you've got a 3.5 or 4 hour trip, one way, man, it takes a toll on you. And so I think you're seeing that a little bit from Cal, and I think they're going to manage it fine. But, I think they're definitely discovering the ACC is a good conference. And, to me, Pitt has probably been one of the stories of the ACC. I am just so impressed with their new offensive coordinator, Cade Bell. He has come from Western Carolina, has completely turned that offense around. But, Nate, the story for me is Eli Holstein. This was a highly recruited kid. He signed with Alabama, saw the writing on the wall that he had some other guys in front of him. Of course, most notably, Jalen Milroe transfers up to Pitt. And what does he do? He's putting up fantastic numbers, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's their second leading rusher. And they have a loaded running back room. Their leading rusher, Reed, transferred with his offensive coordinator from Western Carolina. So I am a big, big fan of this Pitt program. Pat Narduzzi has always had good teams. Of course, last year they really, really struggled. Of course, they were hit hard by the portal for a few years in a row. But I say all that to say I'm taking Pitt. I think Pitt wins this one by double digits.
Wow. Yeah, Brad, you bring up so many good points, and I got to find a different saying besides Brad. You have some great points. We'll work on that over the weekend. But no, this game is interesting because Cal, as I mentioned before, has shown that they can play with the big boys. I mean, they play with Miami, and you can say what you want about Miami. Miami had to go all the way to Cal. I believe the equipment truck for Miami, I think it took them 44 hours to get from Miami to Cal. I'm curious to see how far it is for Cal's equipment truck to get to Pitt. But nonetheless, this is a how they say a battle of attrition. Cal's coming off of a heartbreaking loss. Now they got to travel all the way across the East Coast. And look, those big boys on the plane, I don't care how much leg room you give them. It's a long flight. It's a long day for them. Then they got to hop on a bus, go to the hotel, sleep in a bed that they may not be comfortable in, get up the next day and prepare for a 3:30 kickoff, which if I'm not mistaken, would probably be about 10:30,
12:30, yeah.
12:30 Pacific time.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's early for them. Usually they're playing at 10:30 Eastern. So I don't know where I got 10:30 from. I'm gonna get some hate in the comments for that one, but nonetheless, it's a lot. And you mentioned Eli Holstein. He has just been an absolute dog for the Pitt Panthers, and no one really expected him to do much. The coming out game was against West Virginia. I think I picked West Virginia in that game, and boy, was I proven wrong. So for this game, I'm going to take the Pitt Panthers. I think Pitt has proven themselves. I think they got the home field advantage. Eli's going to be showing out, probably throwing for 400 yards against this Cal defense. And no disrespect to Cal, but it's tough. They, like I said, they come off a big loss. Now they got to travel all the way across the country and play a very dominant Pitt team that's 5-0, riding high. Could be wrong, but give me the Pitt Panthers in a close one. I think that it is under double digits, but I think Pitt wins. Let us know down in the comments who you think is going to come out with this ACC matchup out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.